Hello, NBA fans. Every day we have news about the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm a Lakers fan and I ask for your help by subscribing to the channel and giving me your thumbs up. What will happen with Giannis Antetokounmpo is still a big question, but Lakers executive Rob Pelinka hopes to sign him to partner with Luka Doncic, as LeBron James will not remain in Los Angeles after this season. He will either retire or go to another team. And bringing Giannis Antetokounmpo to the purple and gold is a dream that has a chance of being realized in 2027. The Los Angeles Lakers clearly have a flawed roster that requires more support. So, why hasn't Rob Pelinka budged to deliver any of those much-needed upgrades? In short, the Lakers are still holding out hope for one name to become available. That would be Giannis Antetokounmpo. Zach Lowe suggested as much during a recent appearance for Amazon Prime's NBA coverage. Antetokounmpo is delivering mixed messages regarding his future with the Milwaukee Bucks. Several franchises were noted to be watching carefully amid that process. "It's not just us that are tracking it," Lowe said. The Atlanta Hawks, the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers, the Miami Heat, maybe the New York Knicks, are sort of thinking to themselves, do we need to keep all of our stuff and wait for Giannis to maybe become available? The NBA insider said it does not matter if that happens now or during the summer, teams are monitoring the situation and waiting for the moment. Lowe also stated that if Giannis does not take an extension from the Bucks, that qualifies as basically demanding a trade. Lakers GM is still prioritizing the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes. It's not very often that a superstar of Giannis' caliber is available for trade. The Lakers already struck gold once with Luka Doncic. Now, it's all about pairing up their tremendously talented point guard with the proper support. What Lowe spoke about falls in line with what others have stated about this coming summer potentially setting the stage for Antetokounmpo to finally be on the move. Giannis would only have one guaranteed year remaining in Milwaukee without a new extension being signed. Sam Amick, who sat down with Giannis not too long ago for an interview that was supposed to calm the storm around the Bucks superstar, has recently hinted the situation may be evolving in Milwaukee too. According to the NBA insider, an escalation is widely expected in the offseason. It would be ill-advised for any potential suitor to give up any assets in another trade now that might come in handy later, Amick wrote. Jake Fisher reported the Lakers would be taking a conservative approach in the lead-up to the NBA trade deadline. Giving themselves an opportunity at Antetokounmpo would be defensible justification for doing so, despite the current team's needs. Luka Doncic named 2026 NBA All-Star Game starter. Los Angeles Lakers star Luka Doncic was named as one of the starters for the 2026 NBA All-Star Game. It was announced on NBC and Peacock. Doncic, along with Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama, and Stephen Curry, make up the Western Conference starters, while Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey, and Jaylen Brown will represent the Eastern Conference. Doncic was well on track to be named an All-Star Game starter as he was the leading vote-getter in the previous voting returns and remained that way throughout. Unfortunately, he'll be the only starter from the Lakers as LeBron James and Austin Reeves missed the cut. Missed time is what largely prevented James and Reeves from receiving more votes, as the former missed the beginning of the 2025-26 season while the latter has been out with a calf injury. Meanwhile, Doncic has been the near constant for Los Angeles, though he has also missed some time due to various nagging injuries. When on the floor, Doncic has been an offensive juggernaut as he leads the league in scoring with 33.3 points per game. Doncic has looked better than ever, with his improved physique and endurance allowing him to play harder and faster for longer stints. With the 2026 NBA All-Star Weekend in Los Angeles this year, there will no doubt be droves of fans who come to see Doncic play. The quality of competition in the All-Star Game has dwindled over the years as players opt to protect their bodies, but Doncic will demand an audience as he'll surely be looking to put on a show in his first All-Star Game representing the purple and gold in its own city. There is a new format this year, so Doncic will be playing for the world team against the Americans, hopefully making the game more competitive. While Luka has been a magician with the basketball this year, it hasn't always translated to wins for the Lakers. Doncic is oftentimes scoring at an unsustainable pace because the team's defense is one of the worst-ranked units in the NBA. Perhaps All-Star Weekend will provide Los Angeles a chance to rest and regroup because right now they look like a team that needs it. Doncic may be one of the few in consideration for MVP this season, but he'll need to be even better the rest of the way to give the Lakers a shot at contending. Luka Doncic appreciative of being lead vote-getter for NBA All-Star Game. Doncic is quickly finding out how much Lakers fans support their stars. He was the leading vote-getter for the 2026 NBA All-Star Game and he expressed his appreciation for the honor. LeBron James tipped to quit Lakers in stunning final career twist. LeBron James' future with the Los Angeles Lakers and the timing of his eventual retirement will remain a topic of discussion until the day he officially brings his historic career to a close. Speculation has followed him for years, but with James now 41, questions have only grown louder. Will he retire at the end of the 2025-26 season, turn next year into a full farewell tour, or finish his career elsewhere entirely? The uncertainty has only intensified as the Lakers navigate another uneven stretch of form. That backdrop set the stage for a striking prediction from four-time All-Star DeMarcus Cousins, who offered his view on how James' career will ultimately end. LeBron James linked to Cleveland return appearing on Run It Back alongside Michelle Beadle, Chandler Parsons, and Lou Williams. Cousins suggested that James will not finish his career in Los Angeles. Instead, he believes the Lakers superstar will return to where it all began. "Do I feel like he finishes his career in LA? I don't," Cousins said. "My gut tells me he finishes in Cleveland. I think it just makes sense. That's where his story starts, obviously that's where he's from. I think that'd be the first team to hang his jersey up. It just makes sense for him to end his career in Cleveland." The idea of James returning to the Cleveland Cavaliers is hardly new, but Cousins' comments added weight to a theory that continues to resurface. He also questioned whether James' situation in Los Angeles has consistently put him in a position to compete at the highest level. Obviously he won a title in 19-20, but for the rest of the time it just hasn't really shown where he's been put in the best situation, Cousins added. When you think about LeBron James, it should never be where he doesn't make the playoffs. Contract clues and a retirement timeline. James is currently in the second year of a 2-year, $101 million contract, a familiar structure he's often favored late in his career. He exercised his player option for this season, positioning himself to become an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2026. Just look at the clues. James is in the final year of his contract, ESPN's Dave McMenamin recently reported. His longtime friend and agent, Rich Paul of Clutch Sports, told ESPN over the summer that James didn't ask for an extension with the Lakers. Despite missing the start of the season with injury and experiencing a slow return, James' production has remained elite. Since turning 41 in late December, he's averaging 26.6 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 7.6 assists while shooting 52.8% from the field. Whether he would want that level of play to close out his career on a Lakers team still searching for stability is open to debate. Sam Quinn of CBS Sports believes the four-time NBA champion will want his final chapter to be more deliberate. Does LeBron James seem like the sort of player who would go out quietly following an early playoff exit? Of course not, Quinn said. He'd want a retirement tour. He'd want a year of genuflection. He could get that as a Laker, but it would be different in Cleveland, where he wouldn't be taking such an obvious backseat to Doncic and the future. James has reportedly remained undecided about retirement, focusing instead on staying healthy and available for as many games as possible. Still, the question lingers. Whether his career ends in Los Angeles or comes full circle in Cleveland remains one of the NBA's most compelling storylines. Paul Pierce, Luka Doncic's defense only obstacle to best player crown. The best player discourse in the NBA today revolves around a few regular names. Reigning MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has to be there, as does three-time MVP Nikola Jokic. Even as the Bucks have struggled, Giannis Antetokounmpo can't be forgotten, and Victor Wembanyama is coming for the crown. Luka Doncic? The Slovenian star, who made 5 straight All-NBA first teams before injuries kept him below the minimum threshold last year, also has to be included, of course. Luka is currently leading the NBA with 33.3 points per game, and he has the Lakers in the thick of the Western Conference playoff race at 25-16. However, Doncic is usually thought of just below those other guys. And there's one simple reason for that: his defense is a liability. Shai is a lockdown defender, and Giannis is a former Defensive Player of the Year. Wemby is a lock to win DPOY any year he's healthy. And even Jokic, who endured similar criticisms to Luka for much of his career, has become at the very least a solid defender. From where Paul Pierce is sitting, if Luka improved his defense, he'd be the best player in the world. On the most recent episode of No Fells Given, he said, "I don't think that you can be the best player in the league without playing both sides of the ball. Yeah, you'll win an MVP, but I don't think you'll be considered the best player in the league." Pierce expressed confidence that Luka would win an MVP someday. However, he lumped him in with James Harden, another outstanding player who was never thought of as the best player in the league because of his defensive reputation. Doncic slimmed down this summer. However, the expectation that it would translate into more success on the defensive end hasn't materialized. Last year, the Lakers finished 17th in the league in team defensive rating. This year, they're an abysmal 26th. That's not all on Doncic, though, but he's the head of the snake. Doncic's offensive abilities are such that he wouldn't even need to become an all-defensive team player to be hailed as the best in the league. He has the ball in his hands constantly, can make any shot or any pass, and has come through many times in clutch situations. Other than maybe barking at the refs too much, his defense is the only part of his game that isn't elite. Doncic ding up would help not just his own standing among the league's superstars, but it could also help make the Lakers real title contenders. There are many smart people out there who don't believe that Doncic and Austin Reeves can form a championship core. This, despite them being offensively prolific. And that's all because of their defense. Luka only came to LA less than a year ago. So in fairness, Rob Pelinka needs some time to put the right team around him. The Lakers are good already, but with the right moves, they could become great. If and when that happens, Doncic will be in the MVP conversation for sure. Lakers add former DPOY for star guard in controversial trade idea. The Los Angeles Lakers are still facing major concerns on the defensive end of the floor, and with just over 2 weeks before the 2026 NBA trade deadline, any hope of them adding a game-changing player is starting to feel more unlikely. However, although it could have fired when originally put on the table and created a ton of controversy within the Lakers organization, there is still one possible move that could be available. Speaking recently on his podcast, Game Over, LeBron James agent Rich Paul offered up the idea of Los Angeles trading Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. Both Paul speaking about the team on his podcast in general, and the idea of the Lakers moving on from Reeves stirred up major controversy. It could potentially bolster head coach J.J. Redick's roster and give Luka Doncic and company a better shot at winning multiple playoff rounds. Rich Paul says if he ran the Lakers, he would call Memphis Grizzlies to trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. for a package with Austin Reeves' flushed face. "If I was the Lakers, I would be targeting the Memphis Grizzlies as a trade partner for Jaren Jackson. If you're building around Luka, If you're building around Luka, Doncic, going forward, which they are, you need that anchor," Paul said to Max Kellerman on his podcast. "There's a world where you can do what's best for your team, and do what's best for Austin. Because Austin deserves to get paid, Memphis would definitely pay Austin." While all indications point to the Lakers giving Reeves a max contract extension this summer, a trade idea like this is too juicy not to entertain. Writing for Bleacher Report, Eric Pincus discussed the idea of Paul's trade idea that would see the Lakers cut loose Reeves to the Grizzlies in exchange for Jackson, who, like Ja Morant, has an uncertain future going forward with the Grizzlies. Los Angeles Lakers receive Jaren Jackson Jr., Vince Williams Jr. Memphis Grizzlies receive Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Maxi Kleber, and a $2.3 million trade exception, Vince Williams Jr. For starters, Los Angeles does this deal because they believe Reeves and Doncic don't have a long future together. both as playmaking and scoring backcourt players who thrive with the ball in their hands. President of Basketball Operations Rob Pelinka has made it abundantly clear that Doncic is the future of the franchise, and while Reeves has been sidelined recently, even when on the court, they provide somewhat of the same services. Additionally, Doncic has proven to be at his best with versatile big men like Jackson. Though DeAndre Ayton most recently put up arguably his best game as a Laker, he doesn't provide the same defensive ability as someone like the current Memphis frontcourt player. From Paul's point of view, the Lakers will be a better team with Jackson's defense over Reeves' offense. That's subjectively arguable, Pincus wrote. If the Lakers agree, and Memphis likes the deal, then by all means. Jackson's contract would potentially be the biggest holdup in a trade idea like this. However, as Paul mentioned, what appears to be the case is that Reeves is in line for a max extension this summer. The Lakers' decision-makers appear ready to give him that deal, but at the same time, is locking down a future of him and Doncic the best play? Los Angeles is poised to spend the next few years, and hopefully the next decade, competing for titles with Doncic. He had success in Dallas playing with athletic big men, and while still a major risk, Jackson could be his next all-star partner. Austin Reeves' injury update. While Paul's bold trade idea is a bit old, it still creates some intriguing thoughts on what the Lakers could look like with a high-level big man. However, while all of the drama caused by his comments now appears to have simmered down, the entire time, Reeves hasn't even set foot on the floor, as he is still dealing with a calf injury suffered on Christmas. NBA vets drop verdict on wild LeBron, Reeves, Rich Paul Lakers trade rumors. The 27-year-old still doesn't have a direct timeline for a return, but Redick, speaking after their latest win over the Toronto Raptors, gave a telling update on the scoring guard. "We're starting to get healthy, and hopefully we get AR back soon," Redick said to reporters after the win. Lakers drop major hint on Austin Reeves' return from injury. With the initial report by Dan Woik of The Athletic that Reeves would miss at least 4 weeks, he still isn't expected to be back for at least a few more games. Yet still, the Lakers have stayed quiet on a potential return, so Redick's comments could foreshadow an on-schedule return for the recently trade-rumored player. Additionally, Los Angeles was recently without Doncic, Ayton, and Jackson Hayes with differing injuries, but got them all back for their win over the Raptors. James continues to bounce in and out of the injury report, but for the time being, he is putting up strong numbers and has only missed 1 game in January so far. Even though Reeves has been out, it's decision-making time for the Lakers, who still appear eager to make a trade before the deadline to add defensive help, whether that be for Jackson or not.